Welcome to our Life First Canada podcast. I'm Karen. Thank you for joining our tribe of living men and women. And I say living because most people are just existing, potentially being a non-character in the simulation. Before we get started, I just want to take a moment and honor Doug Force, who you all know by now that he passed away yesterday. Thank you to Tim for letting me know. We all know Doug from the Myth is Canada. We interviewed him a couple of years ago. And then, of course, we had Tim Stein on here last week, who is the producer of Canada, The Illusion, which he based on the truth that Doug had been researching for many years. And we're just really grateful for all the knowledge that Doug has shared and this legacy that will continue as we remind others that Canada is an illusion. So please continue to share that interview from last week. And of course, Canada the Illusion on our Life Force Canada YouTube platform. I do believe we now have 56,000. So 1,000 people have viewed the documentary since last Monday already. So that's huge. It's getting out there. Fantastic work from Doug and Tim and Xander. Okay, I just want to pop up a quote here. Well, it's not a quote, it's just a paragraph from the famous man Alan Watts. Brilliant man. Before you heal someone, you must ask them if they're willing to give up the things that made them sick. People cry out for change, yet they cling to the very patterns that keep them unwell. They seek healing, but refuse to part with habits or their identity, attachments that sustain their suffering. A man drowning in a river may scream for rescue, yet gripped the stone, pulling him under. He does not see that his struggle is not against the current, but against himself. One cannot be freed from suffering while still clutching the very chains that bind them. You see, suffering too is familiar. It's a well-worn groove in the mind. And the known, no matter how unbearable, is often preferred over the unknown. So just breathe those words in, very powerful. So it's to step into wellness, to step into the highest version of who we are. It means you must leave behind the version of yourself that was comfortable in the sickness, comfortable in the dis-ease, comfortable in the chaos. So before you ask for healing, ask yourself this: am I ready to let go of who I was to become who I am meant to be? We must ask ourselves this. That's why true liberation comes from mastering the mind, body, and soul. And that's why at Life First Canada, we're here because our tribe is making the choice to rise up. And I'm so grateful for all of you making that choice. Those who choose to ascend are those who are refusing to be unprepared. And that is why we offer such an assortment of topics here on our podcast every Monday to stimulate the mind, to ignite the soul, and then create a cause in you so deep that you are now inspired to take action. So let's breathe in life force energy. Let everything else go that is not who you are. I'm going to breathe in again. Deep breathing, and then letting go. Letting go of everything of who we're not. Thank you, Len. Len says, so true, Karen. Okay, is our reality a simulation? If Canada is an illusion, maybe the complete reality we live in is an illusion. As I mentioned in the newsletter or in the email, what if everything around us, the people, the stars above, the ground we walk on, our bodies, are an elaborate illusion like in the movie The Matrix? So what if the world we perceive, okay, is a very realistic computer simulation with all of us as characters in a video game? So for those of you who know who Dolores Cannon is, she is the one that created the NPC, non-player characters. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that later. So I'm going to be sharing with you a few powerful and true stories that may suggest that we do live in a simulation. So how many of you have actually seen the Matrix series? How many of you believe that we are like Neo, living in a matrix like computer simulation of reality created by more advanced beings or archons or right, created a false reality and they are not allowing us to see the true reality? I mean, we all know that movies are like documentaries. They're sharing the truth in plain sight, right? So just write in the chat and let me know if you believe that we are also in a false matrix. So I'm just going to share here first, where did the simulation theory come from? So during my research, a man named Nick Bostrom, who's head of the Oxford University's Future of Humanity Institute, he wrote a paper titled, "Are You Living a Computer Simulation?" The paper argued that future generations might have mega computers that could run numerous and detailed simulations of their forebears. The odds are, he said, that we are products of the simulation and maybe simulated minds rather than among original biological ones. And he also wrote a book in 2022 titled Reality Plus: Virtual Worlds and the Problems of Philosophy, which is said to be the most credible articulation of simulation theory to date. Now, I haven't read that book myself, but I thought you might want to check it out. And you've probably heard Elon Musk. He's stated this many times, that the odds that we are actually living in base reality, which is really, my version would be the true reality that from the true creator, right? He said are billions to one. At the end of 2021, he also responded to a tweet about the anniversary of that, I don't know, what's it called, Pong from 1972. That it's a video game, tennis video game. Remember that? Yay, we're so excited to see this ball going across a black screen. Anyways, he said that 49 years later, games are now photorealistic, right? They're 3D worlds now. And he said, what does that trend continuing, right, imply about our own reality? Something to think about. So there's many philosophers and scientists have been talking about this for many, many, many years. Men and women like ourselves, we've pondered this. If we live in a simulated universe. However, I do have some real stories to share that's going to make you go, Okay. I can't believe how nervous I am. It's amazing. My first simulation experience happened when I was 19 and I was living in Surrey, BC. I grew up in Squamish until I was about 10 years old. And so I knew Squamish, Vancouver area very, very well. My best friend Daphne, she still lived in Squamish, and I had moved, our family had moved to different areas in BC. And then when I was 18, I moved back to the mainland. I did not want to ever be in a small town. And I would drive my 1972 Duster every single weekend from Surrey to Squamish to see my girlfriend. And we would party. Yes, I drank a lot, did drugs back in the day. So one weekend we decided to drive to Vancouver to see a live band. So we were in Squamish, and I drove from Squamish to Vancouver. We saw this live band, and then it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. We were going to drive back to Squamish. I had drank a lot that night, and yes, I still was going to say I'm going to drive that Sea to Sky Highway to her home. I was pretty confident in myself because I had driven that road hundreds of times. And if you're not familiar with that road from Vancouver to Squamish, well, Vancouver to Squamish, it is very windy. And about halfway to her place, I was driving really fast, like I normally did. Yes, Karen, it was only 2 lanes back in the day. Exactly. And I was driving really fast. And as I was moving around a corner, about to take a corner, there's a bridge, and I knew I was driving way too fast, and I knew I was not going to make the turn. By my calculations, I just knew. And I just surrendered. I surrendered to the idea that I was going to be hitting the bridge railing, cracking through it, and going down over into the abyss, into the creek below. Now you have to remember, back in those days, this is like 1982, 83, the bridge side railings were made of wood. They weren't made of steel like they are today. So it was a nice white wooden railing bridge. And your car would just break right through if they hit it. So now my vehicle is, I would say, a foot away from hitting the railing of this bridge. A foot away. I cannot see the bottom of the railing of the bridge. That's how close I am to hitting the railing. And then I would say a strange thing occurred. Or should I say a profound miracle? Because it was as if my windshield that I was looking through, the scene changed, just like in a movie, just like watching television, just in a blink of an eye, instead of seeing the bridge before me, we now saw us driving on the highway. All I could see is my headlights, dark everywhere, and the headlights and a road ahead, and we were driving. And then I looked into my rear view mirror, and about 200 meters back, there was the bridge. I was so shocked, I pulled over, and my friend Daphne is looking at me, and I could see that she's shocked, and we just sat there in silence. We just sat there in silence, and we couldn't even talk. We had no idea what had just happened. I knew that I had surrendered to me leaving this realm. And then she looked at me and she said, "What just happened?" She goes, "I knew we were going over. I knew we were going over." And she wasn't fearful at all either. We had both surrendered to death in that moment. And I tell you, I was definitely 100% sober now. So we continued driving to her place, and 2 days later, I was driving back to Surrey. I slowly went over that bridge just to check the railing. because I just want to make sure that maybe there was another version of me that we actually did go over. But no, there that the white railing there was fine, as if nothing had ever happened, nothing hit it. I had many experiences up until that point where I started to believe that reality was like a computer video game. And as a teenager, I challenged this reality all the time. Yes, Rhonda, I definitely divinely protected. Absolutely. Yes. Yes, Dylan, it is the bridge that has a long way down. Absolutely. That's why I say abyss. Yeah. So now we can question who created this simulated universe? Who or what is the godlike entity that created it? One possibility is that the people who are supporting this simulation hypothesis is that it's a race of advanced beings, even possibly that it's our own descendants, like our future selves. We are living hundreds or thousands of years in the future, and we might have developed an ability to simulate not only our world, but our bodies and minds, etc. Right? Okay, I need a drink of water. I have another story. Claire and Carol love this story. It's my Porsche story. Okay, I may have shared this with Esther and Bill too at one time. Okay, it's pretty wild, just to let you know. And I created some little drawings just to show you. It's very important that you actually see what I'm talking about. Okay, I would say that the year was 20 or 2001, 2002, somewhere around there. And I wasn't drinking alcohol. I had a direct experience in 1993, where in one moment I saw this Karen as a victim of life and angry at everything and everyone. Uh, and and then I had my direct experience, as many of you know, experience of source, divine love, where I completely was shared in that moment that love is the only thing that's real and everything else is illusion. That's exactly what was stated to me. And so then from there, I was on a quest to know that truth. And at the time, I was not dating anyone because I was on 7 years of celibacy, where I shifted from attracting very abusive men prior to, and then shifting my consciousness for 7 years to then attract a higher version of the masculine in my life. So that's a whole other story, but I just wanted to give you that base because I wasn't dating at the time and I wasn't looking for a man to date. However, I went to a bar with a girlfriend of mine because it was a friend's birthday party and they were pleading to us to please come to their party. And Tamara and I said, yes, we'll do it, but we're not going to drink. And we never went to bars at all, but we just sat there because we wanted to honor our friends. And these were all big muscle-bound men at the time, and they said, we'll protect you. So we'll make sure that no one bothers you so that Tamara and I could just relax and have fun. So anyway, this guy comes over and he just goes through the line of our friends, these men, doesn't care about who they are, gives me his number, says, I want to take you on a date. And again, my higher self's going, say yes. And I'm like, no, I'm not dating anyone. And my higher self will say yes. It was so crystal clear. So anyway, I go on a date with him and I said to him, how did you find me? Because I'm in the farthest corner of that bar. My friends are surrounding me, so no one could see me. And he says to me, you're the only one that had a light shining. And that's a really good pickup line. Okay, so now I'm at Jugo Juice because this is my first date with him. Jugo Juice, hour and a half. At the end of the date, he says to me, Karen, I want to see if you're open to driving to Banff with me. Normally, I would say no because a total stranger. I don't know him. My higher self is saying, say yes, say yes. And I get trust. Say yes, trust. Okay, I will say yes. So I say yes to him. We go to parking lot, and there's this black Porsche. Well, I love sports cars. Well, I used to, not so much anymore, but I love sports cars. I think I was a race car driver in a previous life. Anyway, now we are on our way to Banff. And as we're on our way to Banff, I'm making this story really, I'm shortening it up because it's very long. There's a lot of details that I'm going to not state here. I can state it another time, but I want to focus on the simulation aspect of the story. Okay. Now we're on our way from Calgary to Banff, and there's this silver Porsche that drives up right beside us. And I look over and I am shocked. I look over and I see two young men. I must say they're maybe 20 years old, 21 maybe, not blonde hair, but white hair. Both of them, white hair. I'm thinking, oh, now I get it why my higher self source wanted me to be on this journey. I'm with Lucifer, and there is my guardian angels protecting me. Because as I'm driving with this man, he says to me, Karen, you know that there's nothing to fear, right? And I said, oh, yeah, I know that. Absolutely. Because I was full of excitement. I was so excited to be on this journey, on this adventure. And that's what I saw it like. And he said, are you afraid of speed? And I said, no, I'm not. He said, okay. So he said, I said to him, they want to race us. And he goes, yes, they do. So they pulled over in front of us and we started chit-chatting a bit. And then he said, okay, let's go. So we were racing to Banff now, full on, and we lose the silver Porsche. And then we turn off on an exit and we go to Johnson's Canyon. So if you're ever familiar with that area, there's an exit, Johnson's Canyon. It's beautiful. So we just park over there. We go for a walk. We're probably there for an hour. And then we come back to the vehicle and then we pull out to the secondary road. And who do we see? These two boys standing against their silver Porsche waiting for us. And I'm thinking, oh my, they're still here. Yay. Now we get in the car and he says, okay, so do you want to play the game? And I said, absolutely, I do. And he said, okay, let the games begin. They got in their car, we were in our car, and now there's a secondary road from Johns Canyon to Banff. I can't remember the name of it. But again, it is only one lane there and one lane uh, for oncoming traffic. And we have to remember this is summertime. So there's a lot of tourists. There's cars everywhere. There's pedestrians because there's crosswalks. There's motorhomes. There's everyone is on this secondary road because it's so pretty as well. Lots of trees. So now we are going so fast. How fast are we going, Karen? We're going so fast that when I look out my passenger window, trees are such a blur. I can't even look out my window. It's making me feel nauseous. That's how fast we're going. Now, again, motorhomes. There's a motorhome in front of us, and I know he's going to pass the motorhome. And he goes to pass the motorhome, and there's a motorhome coming the opposite direction towards us. And I'm thinking there's no way he's going to make it. There's no way. So I am going to show you just so you can pick up what I'm putting down because this is so incredible. Now, can everyone see this? Okay. The blue, of course, is the road. The red signifies the motorhome. And this is us in the black. That's us is the Porsche. And this is the silver Porsche right here in the green. Okay. So we're behind the motorhome and he goes to pull out and there's a motorhome coming here. There is no way logically that he could make it through to pass the motorhome without being in a car accident. That was my perception of reality. Okay. So again, he moves out and he's going to now move and pass this motorhome and go into this lane with this motorhome traveling towards us. There is no room for him to do this. Zero. But he does it. And I'm looking back and I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, how did that happen? It is impossible. Not only that, okay? When I look back, I don't see the motorhome. I see the silver Porsche behind us as well. So not only did we weave into this small little area to pass the motorhome before this one could hit us, we make it through and the silver Porsche makes it through as well. And that silver Porsche, I could not even see the front headlights. That's how close they were the whole time we were on this road. They were right on our tail. Now it gets better. Okay, pedestrian crosswalks. We are going so fast. People are crossing on the crosswalks. A mother with her carriage, with her baby, is crossing the sidewalk. Husband, other kids, maybe grandparents or whatever. There's a group of people. You think people would have been fingering us, yelling at us? Nothing. Nothing. As if they didn't even see us. And we were so close. So close. Nothing. No reaction whatsoever. And now we're driving through Banff. And if you've been to Banff, lots of people everywhere. As we're going through Banff, red light goes to green, green, green. Ah, you guys are magicians. Green light, green light. And again, people are crossing the sidewalks and they just barely get off the road and we're traveling through. No one says anything. They don't even look at us, nothing. Again, as if we're not even in the town of Banff. And then I say to him, well, I think that we need to kind of pull over because I think they're going to continue following us if we don't stop and say hello, because I really wanted to meet these two young men with white hair. So we finally pull over at the Rimrock Hotel area. So I get out of my car. I am so excited. I want to go hug these guys. But this man that I'm with gets out of his vehicle and he immediately comes between me and these two men, right as a barrier. He will not allow me to engage with them whatsoever. And I'm like this, and he just keeps blocking me. And they said to me, how are you? As if they knew me. I said, I am doing great. Thank you. I was very excited. I was very excited to be playing this game. To know that no one could get hurt because we were in a simulation. And I immediately got that. Immediately I knew that we were in a different frequency than everyone else, that they did not see us. That's story number 2. Yes, Jim. Reality shifts. Exactly. They're not uncommon. A lot of people have them. You probably here have had moments like what I'm sharing right here. Absolutely. Our reality is not what we have been told it is. And as we begin to let go of the false reality, and you've heard me for the last few years talking about a fake reality, a false reality. So I just want to talk about Dolores Cannon for a moment. She is the one that popularized the phrase non-player character. She believes that some people are not real. If this is true, where there's non-player characters in this realm, even though they might not be real, we still need to treat everyone with love and kindness, correct? And I'm going to share with you another short story in regards to why I believe in the non-player character as well that Dolores talks about. Because after my experience with these boys, they left and we went to a restaurant and walked in, and the hostess said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're fully booked. We're fully booked. You have to make reservations to get in." And we could see that all the tables were full. Like, it was a full restaurant. And she said, "Would you like to book for another time?" I'm saying, "Oh, no, no, we're going to go. Thank you very much." And I'm going to walk out. And I don't know what he said to her. But all of a sudden, I'm now looking at him and I'm looking back at her. And she became a non-character, a non-player character. She became very robotic. She said, "Oh, yes, please follow me. I have a table for you." And she was turning like a robot and she led us to a table. I'm looking at him and go, "What did you do?" So, as Dolores talks about, there are backdrop people in the matrix that are energy holograms to help populate and infiltrate reality experiences. And she says that all of these are created by you, as you are the source creator, because you're connected to your soul, because you're connected to the true creator, not the false God that's created this matrix, right? We can call it archons. And I'm going to go into another episode later on about archons. So if this idea is true, it could begin to, we could begin to see that that life is not meant to be taken so seriously. I think if we begin to see life through this new lens, instead of being in fear all the time or being angry with people, we might begin to see and understand much more about who we truly are, and that we'll be able to understand too much more easily how some people can act in such hurtful ways, right? Because the matrix really runs on energy, energy that is tuned into your emotions. So if you're below the line in a negative energy zone, you're going to have very different experiences than someone who is excited about life, seeking adventure, going, yes, 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 yes. They're going to have very different experiences that do not create fear, right? You're going to have a more of an expansive experience because you know who you truly are, which is pure love. And when you stand in that pure love, you are always safe. You're always supported. You're always going to be guided 100% of the time, right? And again, even speaking about time, time in itself is the illusion as well, because time will only move at the pace of your belief system. So if you believe time is speeding up, yeah, you're going to then attract everyone that believes time is speeding up. And then you're going to get that time is speeding up and you're going to experience time speeding up. And everyone that around you is like, yeah, time is speeding up. Yeah, time is speeding up. Whereas in my world, time is fluid. Time is fluid. If you read my book, higher idea number one, time is fluid. I have plenty of time for everything. So if we're in a simulation, then we are the creator. So remember in that Ascension Symptoms episode, when I say that we're here to ascend out of the false matrix, you've heard me say this many, many times over the years. When we forget something, we can get really upset with ourselves. Oh my gosh, my memory, I'm losing my memory. And it can be really scary. And when we forget, it could be that the excess information, I'm talking about this at the Ascend Experience on April 11th to the 13th, showing everyone how to dissolve the excess information that this simulation has given you, which has just created so much complexity and compounded so much information that you do not need anymore. But you have collected all the information from your past, not just from your past, from every television show that you've ever watched, from every movie you watch, from every conversation you've had with your friends, your parents, everything still all here in your energy field. And that weighs us down energetically. It keeps us locked in the false matrix. So we want to learn how to dissolve all of that information. Because when you get to that place of, oh, I am losing my memory, it means that you're on overload, too much information in the energetic system, and you need to go dump it. Come dump it with me on April 11th to 13th. You are the creator of your reality. Our brain is very similar to a computer in regards to, I just had to last week, I had to take a lot of information that's on my computer and put it onto my external drive. And now it's ready to go and experience more information. You're the same way. We need to dump everything that doesn't serve us anymore. We need to ascend out of that realm. At the highest level, we each create our own reality through our own thoughts, through our own emotions. Okay. Adrian asked, am I still in contact with Black Porsche Man? No, I'm not. So when you know about your reality, all my friends knew who he was. Like we all knew who he was and who he represented in my world. And I wasn't afraid of him because I knew he was here to teach me a lot about myself. And there's a whole other story that I have, which I am not ready to share yet, but I will eventually share it. It has nothing to do with simulation, but it's a really powerful story that's wrapped around him. And yeah, he was a powerful representation of me knowing that we have dark lords here that are here to assist in the fall of man, in the fall of women. And he was a big player in the dark aspects of, I would say, Calgary, Canada. He played in that dark world. And when I say dark world, it's the world of sacrifice, the world of, yeah, I won't go any further than that. And so that's why he came to me was I know that because I was on my celibacy journey. And after 7 years on a spiritual level, you actually become a virgin again. So and this is not just anyone. You have to be consciously on a celibate journey of spiritual enlightenment. And you become a virgin again. And when you become a virgin again in that realm, you're like a beacon of light. Like, you're shining like a city, and then they in regards to the dark realms, they want to sacrifice the virgins. They want to sacrifice the light virgins. And so I knew that that's why I was in his life and why he wanted me to come with him. I never did, of course. I was very protected, but I do have a profound story wrapped around him that one day I'll share with all of you. And this is why I've had many experiences, and it is why I created Lifeverse Canada. Because when that happened in 2020, and they were playing the Luciferian initiation game of wearing the masks, etc., I knew where their agenda was going to be going, and I was to bring in my tribe. I was to bring in my soul tribe, bring them in now, start educating them, start preparing them emotionally, mentally, spiritually, because the game is here and it's on, and we all need to be prepared for it. And so this is why I do what I do. And this is why I'm here every Monday. And it's not just the spiritual, it's also too in regards to our private member meetings. And it's all also about you learning how to discharge debt, and you learning about Black's Law Dictionary, you learning about lawful versus legal, you learning about the birth certificate, you learning about all of this and how they've deceived us in so many ways. You learning all about this, it doesn't feel good. None of it feels good. And it won't until we're on the other side and we've mastered our mind, body, and really connected and are living from a soul place. And this is why that deep work, I keep saying, meditate every single day on our Life First Canada YouTube channel and our, it's probably not there. It's probably in our Rumble because we've had them deleted. But there's a few Divine Mind conversations that are there. They're there for you to tap into your power and release all of the information that the simulation's been giving you to lock you in the matrix, to keep you here. So we need to unwind from all of that. And that's what we're doing. Yeah. Thank you, Jacqueline. Now, I just want to share too that I do have another story. It's a spiritual journey. Now, my next story is about me having a sacred magic mushroom journey a few years ago. Uh, psilocybin, it's a hallucinogenic chemical, certain mushrooms known again as magic mushrooms. And this was, I used to do all kinds of drugs way back in the day, but this was a sacred spiritual journey. And I had a friend of mine, a man that I knew, and he'd been taking people on journeys, these sacred journeys, for many years. He had done over 200 journeys, so he was very practiced. And so I said yes to taking a journey with him. And when you're on a sacred spiritual mission with your drink, you create an intention. And my intention was to know the truth about reality. I should have been more, I should have had more clarity in my intention. The journey that I went on shocked me, completely shocked me. I was not prepared for what I saw, because when I was asking or creating the intention for the true reality, I'm thinking love, love, unicorns, right? Flowers everywhere, big trees. Yeah, I know. I did not see that at all. Actually, after my journey, I cried heavily. I grieved. I sobbed for quite some time. But then I was, my higher self said you wanted to see the truth. You wanted to see the truth of this false reality. I didn't clarify that I wanted to see the true reality, because there is a true reality where pure love is. But I did not go to that true reality. I went to the false reality. They showed me the false matrix that we're living in. And when I went there, it was uh, me dissolving completely. I became part of the computer symbolization, and I had to surrender to it because I was fighting it so much because there was no love there, and I was seeking the love. I am love. I am love. And I don't feel any love here whatsoever. And there's no love here in this hell realm, in this false reality. Love does not exist. I found an image, and it's the only image that comes close to what I saw. There's much more to this. This is what I saw. It wasn't a static image, it was a living image. So all of these lines are energy, it's movement. These dots that you see were everywhere, like infinite. And then all of a sudden, way back in the distance, one of these little balls of light just lit up. It just lit up, and I saw it far down in the distance, this little ball of light that was connected to this grid. All of a sudden, at the speed of light, I'm traveling to this light. And now I'm looking into the light of this little tiny ball. So if you pick one of these balls and you're looking into the ball, and what I saw, me and my friend Lars in his living room. I saw him and I in the living room. And as soon as I went, oh my gosh, that's me and Lars in that living room, phoom, my consciousness went right into that little ball of light. And I was back in my body, back into Lars' living room. It was really profound. And because I wasn't expecting that, I judged my experience. And after I meditated, this is a couple of days later, I meditated and I realized that Source wanted me to see the true reality of this false reality so that I could master my own reality, so that I would not have an emotional reaction to anyone or anything anymore in a negative way. That's how I could own my power. And now that I knew that we're in a simulation, I could now begin to shift my own level of consciousness to see other realms and to know I can travel to other realms and be very safe in doing so. But when I was in that journey and I saw that grid system, I was also being shown, and it's very difficult to put into our English language or any language because words will never give it justice at all. You have to go and experience this on your own. And it was like there were realms. It was like they were showing me how different levels of beings, so men and women, were moving from one plateau, and it was like elevators. That's all I can say. Elevators. Elevators moving this way, elevators moving that way, elevators moving, shifting, moving, shifting. And so with everyone thinking a new thought, their programming was changing. And it was just programs being shifted and changed and moved and elevated and then lowered. It was incredible. Yes, Susan, consciousness and love is the only thing that's real. And when we truly know this in the fullness of our heart, we will let go of everything below the line. I don't have my book with me. We'll let go of everything below the line, everything that's below the line that's not who we are, everything that's frustration and anger and hate and racism and resistance and lack and scarcity. They're all programs. None of them are real. Everything above the line, truth, integrity, prosperity, love, freedom, all of that. Connection, laughter, joy, bliss, ecstasy, all of those are real. And that is who you are. And when you're living from that place, you are unstoppable. You can go anywhere in this realm, anywhere. and nothing can harm you. That when you're in the love vibration, you are protected and your protectors will make themselves known. I have another story for you. Are you ready for another one? Who wants another story? Okay. How old am I now? Um, I'm going back to where I'm an alcoholic. So I'm probably 23, maybe. I'm in a bar in Calgary with my girlfriends, and we would order in the back in the days when they had paralyzers for $2. And during happy hour, you could get as many paralyzers as you wanted. So we would get 5 paralyzers for $2. Like, yeah, we're amazing. Paralyzers, great. So funny looking back now. But anyway, I smoked a lot. So I was a social smoker. So I would go out to the bar. I would smoke a whole pack of cigarettes in one evening. Yeah. Now, back in the day, I smoked because it was a shield. So when I wasn't on the dance floor dancing and I didn't want to talk to anyone, lit up a cigarette, shield, letting men know, do not disturb me right now. I don't want to be disturbed by anyone. So here I am smoking at the bar. My girlfriend Phyllis, she is an, a very feisty Italian woman. She always spoke her mind. I loved her for it. And she would always get herself into trouble. And I was taking a martial arts class at the time. I had my yellow belt, so I thought I was the expert in martial art. I would be protecting my girlfriends all the time, getting in between them and a man who was bothering them. Don't you touch my girlfriend. Anyway, I'm sitting at the bar by myself. My girlfriends are doing their thing. And a little man just comes over and sits right beside me. And I'm saying little because I'm 5'11". And this man must be like 5'2". And he sits beside me. He's got a beard and brown hair. And I normally would have not talked to him because I'm in my zone of do not disturb me. But for some reason, I wanted to engage him. So now I'm engaging and I'm saying hello and we're talking and having a conversation. And he says, "Can I buy you a beer?" And I said, "Sure." And so we're having a beer. And then all of a sudden, over here, I can hear Phyllis. And she's swearing and her Italian voice is getting louder and louder. And I look over and I see this big Italian man looming over her and he's angry. I'm like, I said, "Just a minute." I put my cigarette down. "Just a minute. I have to go and just check on my girlfriend over here." So I go over and I get right in between Phyllis and this big 6'4" Italian man. He's very, very angry. And I say, "You better leave my girlfriend alone." I can't remember. I'm paraphrasing. I can't remember what I said. Anyways, he looks at me and he goes to punch me right in the face. And I can see his fist coming. And it's coming and it's right an inch in front of me. All I can see is fist from this big built Italian man. And all of a sudden, the fist stops, and I see this little tiny man, and he has his little tiny arm and his little tiny hand on this man's arm, and he stops him from hitting me. That is not logical when the force of the punch is coming this way and you have someone small touch. As soon as he touched him, there was no power or force coming through from his hand and arm. Just him touching him. The fist stopped and the scene changed. Just like that, again, movie scene. There was bouncers everywhere. They did not walk up to this Italian man. They appeared. There's no walking up. They just We're there. And now Phyllis is looking at me and I'm looking at her and I'm going, just, and she's, I don't know. And now I said, excuse me, Phyllis, and I wanted to go over and thank this amazing man, this beautiful, heart-centered man that just saved me from being punched in the face. And I go over back to where I'm seated. His beer's still there, but he's not. I go everywhere in that bar looking for him. Do I find him? No, he's gone. He's gone. I couldn't even thank him. So again, you have guardian angels looking out for you. Trust in that. Trust that you are protected because you are a sovereign. You are on the journey of awakening to your true power. And because you are connected to your soul, God's here, right? The God of our understanding, source, universal intelligence. Tune in and listen because when I listen to my higher self, my life is ease and grace. When I do not listen, I can suffer. My suffering now is very momentarily because I listen at least 99.9% now to my higher self and my inner wisdom, my inner intuition. And we all have that accessibility. We just need to move out of the ego mind. And as we move out of the ego mind, the mind that wants to focus on a problem, because that's all the ego mind wants, it won't let you be happy and enjoy your experience. It wants you to find a problem. So just know if we're living in a simulation, we have the power as a source player. You are now a source player. You are the source. You're here to activate the electromagnetic field of the heart. And then we play the game for our own benefit, for the benefit of humanity. Because as you begin to wake up from the simulation, you allow others. It's like the 100 monkey effect. We begin to wake up from the simulation. Now, I do know that we have said this many times that we're here to exit the matrix. So knowing that we're in a simulation does not preclude that we're exiting the simulation. Otherwise, I would have exited a long time ago, right? So knowing it's a simulation is not the point where we do exit. So to me, the exit strategy, if we're going to call it that, is the connection to our soul, connection to the heart. The heart is our place of power. And we're here to bring the attention from here to here. The heart is the energy vortex. It's an electromagnetic energy vortex generator. And it empowers you to create the reality that you want to see. And the reality is created through our thoughts and emotions, as you all know. So let's start creating reality from powerful imagery, not the imagery that they're showing on television. How many of you believe that Trudeau and our government and our politicians are non-player characters? Yes, they're non-player characters. So why are people getting so angry with them? They're a non-player character. They don't mean anything. They're just here to create to keep the program alive. And you keep the Matrix program alive when you're angry with non-player characters. Stop getting angry at the television. Your anger keeps you locked up here. And you have incredible potential. Incredible. Unlimited potential. Unlimited. Absolutely, Hella. The heart, she says, is the strongest organ emitting high energy. Absolutely, it is. So we're here to have the coherence, right, from thought and feeling. And when the mind and the heart come together, we have a coherence within ourselves that pops out this electromagnetic field, and you are unstoppable. Absolutely, Susan. She writes, all the wisdom comes from the heart. Thank you, Susie. I'm a mirror of all of you. You all created me as much as I created you. Okay? Let's all breathe that in. We all created each other. We are a tribe. We are a family that is on that path of enlightenment, lightening up from the false matrix, the illusion. Yes, Karen, the love frequency matches like with like, 100%. Yes. So right now the realms are trying, like Trump and war and the tariffs of Canada and the US. Whoa, they are brilliant at playing this simulation game, keeping everyone in anger and tension and resistance and separation. Don't play the game. Turn that TV off. If you've gone to my Sovereign Living conference, I tell everyone, kick the TV to the curb. Yes. Yes, everything is a distraction. 100% right, Hilla. Even going on our phones and watching Instagram, I now say 10 minutes, Karen. You have 10 minutes to be on Instagram to look for awesome recipes. And that's it. I only allow 10 minutes on my phone. We are here to shift out of the simulation and into the true reality. So let's everyone close your eyes. And we're just going to focus on the true reality, the true loving reality from the true creator, the divine presence, the I am, the source and substance of all good things. Just allow yourself to focus on that true reality that lives inside of your heart. The more you allow yourself to go within, to close your eyes and to be here with your mind, with your emotions, with your body, that is where your power is. You doing this right now, you just let go of the simulation. You just let go of the false matrix right now. Just you doing this right here, right now. You taking time to get to know you, to get to know the true you, to ask yourself, who am I? Who am I beyond the roles that I play in the simulation? And just say to yourself, I am conscious of the inner presence of who I am. My consciousness is filled with the light of truth. Through my consciousness of my God self, the Christ within as my source, I draw into my mind and feeling nature, the very substance of spirit. This substance is my supply. Thus, my consciousness of the presence of God within me is my supply. The divine consciousness that I am is forever expressing its true nature of abundance. My only responsibility is to be aware of my truth, of the truth within my heart. I keep my mind and my thoughts off of this world, and I place my entire focus on the God presence within. I am love. Love is the only thing that is real, and everything else is the illusion. I am powerful. I am a divine creator. I am connected to all that is. I am a sovereign. And so it is. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I love each and every one of you. You are all shining lights, and keep shining, keep shining. Do not allow anyone to ever dim your light. Together we rise.
Thank you, Karen, so much. This has been wonderful.
Thank you, Carol.
Well done.
Yeah.
Good job.
Very inspiring.
Everybody's fascinated.
Yeah.
It's powerful, powerful evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone here is welcome to email me and share one of your stories.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you so very much.